Scientific community is skeptical of the old concept of ether due to its association with outdated ideas and its failure to encompass modern theories. The term ether originates from the Sanskrit word for an intensely burning fire and was believed by Aristotle to fill the sky, constituting the stars and planets. Throughout history, ether was associated with light, spirit, and life, and regarded as the quintessence, the essence of all things in the universe. Later thinkers integrated the concept of ether into mechanical philosophy, culminating in the discarded idea of the luminiferous ether, proposed as the fixed medium for light propagation. Some also theorized it to be the medium for transmitting thoughts in extrasensory or telepathic phenomena. It's known as the Qi concept, originating in China, but with parallels in various cultures. It's tied to the idea of breath, as regulating and enhancing Qi flow is mainly done through breathing. In Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and yoga, it's known as prana. In Japanese, it's called ki, representing the life force in the universe. In Polynesian culture, it's referred to as mana, representing spiritual power. In Hebrew, it's ruach, signifying the breath or spirit of God that gives life to all creatures, also interpreted as wind or air through which God communicates with humans. Similar to its concept in Islam, barakah is a spiritual energy believed to have a profound influence on earthly life. It is subtle, all-pervading, and associated with holiness. In Islamic belief, holiness is not solely tied to virtue, but rather to the circulation of barakah through specific channels and means. Mead Lane thought there are multiple types of ether, expanding the concept beyond a singular form. But one of the most intriguing concepts of ether in modern time physics was proposed by Paul Dirac, one of the founders of quantum mechanics. His conception portrays space not as empty, but as a dynamic field with fluctuations and virtual particles. In contrast to general relativity, which emphasizes the independence of physical laws from their space-time background, Dirac ether reintroduced background dependence. He speculated that ether properties could influence fundamental constants, suggesting they are emergent rather than fundamental. His concept of ether differed from Mead Lane's notion of exotic matter. Dirac envisioned it as subtle and not directly observable, yet capable of influencing matter and energy at fundamental levels. Although his ideas weren't widely accepted in physics, it doesn't mean they were wrong. Today, scientists are revisiting the idea of ether to answer big questions about the universe's makeup. Frank Wilczek, a Nobel laureate, suggests that modern physics proves a primary ingredient of physical reality, from which all else is formed, that fills space and time every day in its experiments. And most importantly, that this primary ingredient is alive with quantum activity. There are words that capture different aspects of this. Ether is the old concept that comes closest, he wrote in his book. David Hestenes, theoretical physicist from the Arizona State University, also refers to Dirac ether in his research. His paper combines theories from Maxwell, Dirac, and Antonio Rañada to propose that the physical vacuum, once thought empty, actually contains an invisible toroidal field that influences electron behavior and interactions. This invisible field, in simpler words, is a fundamental force or influence that exists everywhere in empty space, affecting the behavior of particles and fields without being directly observable, or a modern version of ether, if you will, of all space-time, much as proposed by Dirac. Hestenes and Wilczek discuss ether as a fluid medium, akin to a super-duper superconductor traversing space and time, transporting particles, including ourselves. In the dark sector narrative, grasping the interaction among ether, dark matter, and regular matter is crucial. We know about gravitational interactions, but there is another very important one. A magnetic effect created by energy moving in a donut shape resulting in a looping magnetic field inside, plays a central role here. Physicists call it the toroidal moment. These structures can serve as minute energy pumps when rotated. Vladimir Dubovik, a theoretical physicist who discovered it, along with other researchers, proposed that dark matter, composed of neutral subatomic particles, interacts solely with our matter through toroidal moments. Now, what's the significance of all this? And importantly, can we apply these concepts practically? Ben Robert Rich, who led Lockheed Corp's secretive research division, the Skunk Works, made headlines by suggesting that UFOs from outer space are real and that the U.S. military has spacecraft capable of traveling to the stars. When Rich was asked how UFO propulsion worked, he said, "Let me ask you, how does extrasensory perception work?" The questioner responded, "With all points in time and space are connected." Rich then said, "That's how it works." The connections Ben Rich hinted at have only recently been observed experimentally in our brain. A recent study published in Nature by fluid physicists from the University of Sydney, Australia, and Fudan University, China, uncovered vortex-like structures in brain signals across the cerebral cortex, the brain's outer neural tissue. Excitingly, the team analyzed brain imaging data using methods akin to those used by fluid physicists studying turbulent flow wave patterns. And they found this. Signals naturally arranged as spirals, like vortices in a draining bathtub or whirlwinds of tornadoes. These spiral patterns exhibit intricate and complex dynamics, moving across the brain's surface while rotating around central points known as phase singularities. The same ones that are needed to interact with both ether and dark matter. What's important to recall is that there is a direct connection between phase singularities, vortices, and toroidal moments, donut-shaped energy pumps. And in order for this system to work, you'll need a minimum of 2 such vortices. Now, this is what was discovered. Pairs of yin-yang-like vortices moving around in the cerebral cortex. What does that tell us? These vortices are magnetic in nature, and we know if you have a magnetic vortex, you have a toroidal moment. Hence, we all have a system for interactions with the dark sector and Dirac Aether flow in quantum vacuum. In the study, researchers used functional MRI technology. It relies on magnetic resonance, which involves the coupling between cerebral blood flow and neuronal activation. There's a difference in the magnetic properties of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood is non-magnetic, while deoxygenated blood is more magnetic. Breathing controls how much oxygenated blood enters the bloodstream, acting like a valve that regulates interaction with the structures in the physical vacuum or unseen domain. Hence, the point of all these ancient breathing techniques that were developed. Such vortex structures, for example, can provide a way for our biology to interact with relic neutrinos, a part of dark matter from cosmic flows. For instance, through the interaction between our body's biological plasma system and these concealed realms, our consciousness can engage with them. As discovered by Winston Bostick, plasmoids are stable toroidal, donut-shaped structures composed of plasma and magnetic fields. Plasmoids are so stable that they can function as independent objects, detaching from the source and traveling through space, while also interacting with each other.
A plasma, in whatever sense it is some sort of charge separation. If there's charge separation with turbulence, it will lead to the toroidal moment and not the neutrino in terms of the nuclear neutrino, which basically has very little interaction. But the relic neutrino, in theory, the clusters thereof can have their own and potentially even the relic neutrino itself can have a toroidal moment, and therefore the toroidal moment that you generate is able to interact with it. So there we go.
The same system now offers possibilities to cohere matter through biological means, similar to how a laser beam can concentrate light energy into a focused point. This system also allows mind-matter interactions, projection of thoughts, and much, much more. Moreover, the data in the paper challenges current theories that the most important part of the brain's activity is its neuron web structure. Instead, they suggest that the brain's shape, its folds and contours, affects the wave-like patterns of its activity. So we are in fact an emitter and receiver by the looks of it, which lends some support to the idea of psychic sources from Meade Lane's Etheria or dark sector, which now have some scientific backing. While mainstream science tends to be skeptical of psychoenergetic theories and often disregards them, this skepticism doesn't seem to apply to the so-called secret science. Physicist Hal Puthoff, who played a prominent role in the CIA's Stargate project, a secret spy program on remote viewing, founded a company and patented a communication technology after leaving the program. His technology focuses on the vector and scalar potentials within the physical vacuum, aligning with the concept of ether. In the paper by David Hestenes that we discussed earlier, he pointed out that the vector potential, usually seen as just a mathematical tool in classical electromagnetism, possesses a genuine physical presence across space-time. This aligns with Dirac Aether concept, offering a theoretical foundation while rejuvenating the ether idea in harmony with contemporary physics. Moreover, this technology appears to operate on the same physical principles that underpin remote viewing and other psychoenergetic phenomena. In his patents, he explains how this process enables manipulation of the vacuum, overcoming Einstein's limitations on traveling at extremely high speeds. He refers to this technology as pure potential devices, which utilize overlapping parallel spectra that coexist alongside the ordinary electromagnetic spectrum. This patent described how such tech allows for long-range communication and navigation systems using the same vector and scalar potentials for transmitting signals. Unlike traditional systems that rely on electromagnetic fields, this method operates without generating such fields. This technology utilizes Josephson junctions and superconductors. It's worth noting that the human body also has a biological counterpart to Josephson junctions and superconductivity. This absence of electromagnetic fields means the signals can pass through dense media like seawater or plasma without being blocked or altered. As a side note, it is the same effect that was observed for remote viewing phenomena. You can't block it. It penetrates any media or electromagnetic field. In other words, such technology is based on the idea of a basic invisible force that fills the empty space in the universe or ether, as previously outlined in the works of Wilczek, Hestenes, and other physicists, and based on the ideas envisioned by Paul Dirac. Effective interactions between ordinary matter and Dirac ether in the quantum vacuum, as well as the dark sector, are not only feasible biologically, as seen in the experimental studies, but we might also have the first technological devices developed for this purpose. Interestingly, this knowledge might not be entirely modern. Something similar to the dark sector can be found in ancient world mythology, particularly in myths about the Black Sun in Mesoamerica, or the Night Sun revered in ancient Egypt, or the Black Sun in Norse mythology. These dark suns were believed to be invisible to humans and the worlds of their gods. These are distinct concepts from the moon and clearly represent a separate class of ancient cosmogonies that are surprisingly similar to modern scientific concepts of dark stars. What are the key puzzles that we can contemplate within the broader picture at this point? subject to additions and corrections, but here are some key aspects to consider. According to modern scientific views, much of our material reality is hidden within what scientists refer to as the dark sector, comprising dark matter and dark energy. Dark matter, the unseen 80% of the universe's mass, doesn't emit, absorb, or reflect light. Astronomers know it exists only because it interacts with our slice of the ordinary universe through gravity. This allows other material but invisible levels to exist without breaking any laws of physics, because they are not parallel but coexist with us and interpenetrate our matter, concealed in a plain sight. The coexisting material world of the dark sector could be full of life, the same as our light sector. This hypothesis, highly speculative at this point, suggests the existence of an invisible material realm that could potentially be inhabited by technologically advanced beings. If these beings can travel between our realm and theirs using variously designed UFO crafts, then some UFO or UAP sightings, occurring both presently and throughout history, may be attributed to such travels. These occurrences have influenced Earth's mythology, religion, and are associated with what's sometimes termed a civilization of the ancient gods. This also means that these entities are not spirits, demons, or angels, but rather material beings born into the physical worlds of their dark matter planets. They are made of matter, but of exotic states of matter originally, and they appear to be mortal as well. Plasma, being the fourth state of matter, is quite different from regular physical matter. It's likely that significant portions of dark matter exist as various types of plasma in a dark mode, making them invisible to us and our tools for measurement. Complex plasmas, if they extend into dark plasma physics, can serve as a versatile fluid medium not just for unconventional propulsion systems and plasma-based machinery designs, but also for non-organic life forms and interactions with the other side of reality, via Dirac Aether in the physical vacuum. Normally invisible, life forms from the dark sector might have technological means to become visible to us, potentially through manipulating matter density. This notion might clarify why beings from such vessels often present themselves as interplanetary travelers. While partially accurate within this idea, they don't originate from the visible planets we see through telescopes, but from their dark matter counterparts in the hidden dark sectors of the shadow universe. By doing so, they become invisible or dematerialize in their native dark matter plane. Counterintuitively to us, our world might be perceived by such visitors as a world of rarefied matter, like a world of ghosts. According to modern science, the dark sector is clustered around all celestial bodies, creating a cosmic web and scaffold on which our visible matter exists. Finally, at this stage of understanding, these technologies share the very same basis with life's bioenergy and psychoenergy. It seems like life operates using the same physics and principles, interacting with unseen matter and the physical vacuum to function in our world. If confirmed, this could have significant implications. For example, some of UFO crafts might not simply be lifeless machines like our metal spaceships, but rather akin to what ancient Greeks referred to as Bio-techne, made, not born. With access to the technologies we discussed, such crafts could be something humans have never seen before. Biotechnological entities, artificially animated matter, possessing their own consciousness, capable of interacting with their crew and human observers. As Professor Lisa Randall wrote in her article, even if the dark creatures were there, and maybe they have been, we wouldn't know. Dark life could in principle be present, even right under our noses. The interesting thing is that if there are interactions in the dark world, whether or not they are associated with life, the effects on structure might ultimately be measured. And then we will learn a great deal more about the dark world.